Hello children, it is I, your father, back from the store with the milk. I did tell your mom that it would take at least 2 years for me to get it, but apparently she has absolutely no patience. But aside from that, how are you doing? How was your weekend? How'd everything go? Did you do anything spontaneous, anything different? I know something in this video might look a little bit different to you. But yeah, I'll let you point it out. Let's do like a Dora Explorer thing, and I'm just gonna let you point out what's different in this video. I have on a black bandana, which is like perfect for my hair. That's what I wanted to show y'all. That's what's different out here. Recently I was scrolling on social media, like the Gen Z guy that I am. I was scrolling through social media, going through the matrix, rotting my brain until the only two words I know are Keith Lee and gaslighting. And recently when I was scrolling through, I did see a topic pop up that did kind of interest me, and it was talking about underground music. And it was basically like, does underground music still exist? Now initially at first I was like, of course there's still great underground talent out there. It's just something you gotta really dig for. You got Osama's Son, you got 1AM, you got 4 or 5. But then I had to actually sit down there and think about it. It's like, do I actually understand the question that they're asking? And the reason why I ask that is because when you really look at it, it's like the term for underground, especially in today's like music sphere, I feel as if it has changed so much in comparison to how we used to see it years ago. The definition of underground has changed as much as the definition of gaslighting the Twitter users, you know what I mean? And now when I really think about it now, especially when I think about the question being asked at hand, it feels more like the underground has kind of gotten morphed more into the mainstream, especially now with people becoming more musically eclectic and the musical talent pool getting larger and larger, especially now thanks to the internet. There's so many different ways to just look at how mainstream is perceived now, because it feels more like you have the superstar level, which is like Travis Scott and like Megan Thee Stallion and all that, real superstar people who are in like commercials and shit, right? And then you have everybody else. Now I will preface this discussion by saying that in terms of the underground hip-hop scene, I'm still relatively young to its knowledge. Like, I'm still baby, and when I say I'm still baby, I mean it as in like I still don't know enough on the underground as much as I should, especially with the position that I'm in. That's my bad. I'm not tapped in enough. All right, I didn't really start getting in the underground until like last year, and no, it wasn't because like Opium Man and like everybody trying to like manipulate the narrative that Ken Carson is underground. No, that wasn't exactly the case. I think the main thing that started me off in the underground was actually when I was listening to one of my more favorite electronic artists. He made a mix right on SoundCloud that featured a lot of underground hip-hop artists, and there were a lot of tracks on there that I thought were fucking amazing. It felt like back-to-back bangers that would absolutely annihilate the speakers in your 2008 Nissan Altima, and I felt like I connected to that. Do I drive an Altima? No, but I do drive like shit, so I guess we have that in common, right? But when I was going through that mix, there was just a lot of songs I had to just look up and be able to save. 1AM had a couple of tracks in the mix, and once I jumped down that rabbit hole, I found a lot of tracks from him that I really did like. But he only has 12k monthly listeners on Spotify, and I've been even like going to like a lot of the shows recently too. Of course the city that I'm in, they have a pretty solid underground scene, although it's still baby. It is still baby. It's still young in comparison to a lot of shit that goes on in other major cities. But of course, whenever some underground talent that was pretty notable did come to my city, me and my buddy Bryce Fitz, as you can actually see up here, we tagged along and went to a few of those shows. Actually, we went to the Mike Dimes and Dro Kenji show that was here in my city, and we had a great time. It was fun, lots of energy, a lot of support too, man. They even had a little mosh pit going. I wasn't gonna hop up in there. I'm only 5'6", I would have died. But to answer the question on if does underground even exist in today's state anymore, I would say that it still does exist, just not exactly in the way that we saw it before. It's like in today's age of the internet, there's so many different ways to get exposure. All you really need is that sort of like social validation, that sort of social credit, just to get anybody to really pay attention. Even if your music is like absolute dog shit, like you're just slapping your dick on a wall. Like for example, right? I'm gonna put up a video here that I found on Instagram of this girl rapping. Now, yes, she does sound like the living embodiment of a country club, but somehow it made her viral and garnered her a lot of attention. She can use the clout that she got from this clip to be able to market herself more as some sort of like major social media influencer, or she can keep pushing towards the music thing. She'll probably like eventually fall off, maybe after like she gets like the XXL freshman class list one year in like 2027. She might fall off, because that's usually how it goes. You hit the XXL and then nobody gives a fuck about you anymore. But the thing is, it's like at the end of the day, it's all like psychological stuff that makes people follow you in the first place. It's like that human desire to be in tune to something, to be in the know of something, you know, to make ourselves feel more validated in our music taste, you know, to feel more musically eclectic per se, you know. But then at the same time, right, let's look at the other side of the fence, right? Let's take a look at one of my more favorite underground artists, 1AM. Now, if you don't know who this is a rapper hailing from actually my hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and a lot of his music is more based in like heavy bass, more dark trap, heavy on the auto tune, and I like it. I like his delivery. Yeah, he's like on the Blueface offbeat shit, but like even still, it just works. In a sense, it makes it feel as if I'm about to like punch everybody in the club, and I like that. I like that feeling. Like, yeah, I am about to go to work, but at the same time, 1AM is playing. I might just drive this car off a bridge. He has an organic following, a steady stream of listeners, and a solid backing discography that I feel the only people who would actually criticize are a bunch of dorks and r/hip-hop heads. But I personally feel like it's very unique and fun to listen to. But now the question you're probably thinking is, so what separates 1AM from Backwoods Brat? You remember that whole psychological thing I just brought up like 2 minutes ago? I feel like that plays a part into this case of why I feel this girl is more likely to get more mainstream than him. And it's part because of like her unseriousness in her music. Like, I did try to listen to her music, and a lot of it, in a sense, it feels like I'm listening to a meme. It feels like something I'm just not meant to take as seriously. Like, in a sense, it feels like it's only just meant to be a gimmick to allow her to go viral, you know? That kind of stuff, it's like it's gonna appeal more to people because you're not gonna have to think about it too hard. While on the other hand, the reason why I say 1AM probably wouldn't be able to get up there as fast as her is because of the fact that it seems he takes his music and his style of music, it seems a lot more serious. Like his music videos, you can even just see any production quality in the music videos. It just feels like homies just cooking some shit up. There's not like some big ass team. It doesn't have some crazy ass production value. And while 1AM is steadily gaining that following, that attention, it's also not going to be at the same pace because people are going to actually have to think about whether they like his stuff or not, because he's taking it a lot more seriously than how you would see Backwoods Brad. But then that kind of leads me, you know, into another angle, right? Which is like the fake underground, which I tend to see now in a lot of like music marketing, in which like you have like these IG pages and these Twitter pages gassing these guys up, clearly getting paid to do that. And it's just all like, this is such and such artist from insert major city. Is he like the next big underground talent or whatever the fuck? And it's like, when you do like a simple background check on a lot of these guys that get promoted, you would see that they have pretty clear backing from like major labels, or they have like guys that's like deep connected in the industry. Once again, I have to bring up the psychology thing, because in this case, right, when it comes to this sort of fake underground music marketing, it's seen more in a sense like some sort of reverse psychology exposure tactic, when they will use the impression of an artist being smaller and making it feel as if they're like underrated or overlooked, to instead garner them even more attention. And in a sense, it makes people feel as if they have to be a part of the train so they don't miss out on that like that underrated side of them. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain because I'm not a fucking psychologist, but like, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Which also leads me into another topic, and actually my final topic, of how the mainstream and the underground, in a sense, they've kind of morphed together, you know? Like, before, it used to be pretty clear who was mainstream, who was not mainstream. It used to be very clear. But it's like now, it's like, do you really need like a McDonald's brand partnership to be mainstream now? Do you really need to be on She-Hulk to be mainstream now? No. Do you need to be drinking Sprite to be mainstream now? No. Now it feels like instead you just need some guy with like around or over like 400k followers to co-sign you, and you also just need like an interview on like some big podcast and you'd be good to go. Like that's literally all you need now. You have like internet mainstream, and then you have like pop culture mainstream, and then you just got corporate mainstream. And you know, there's 3 different bars to that. Basically what I'm trying to say is like it's mainly the internet that makes a lot of these dudes mainstream. You know, the forums, the social interaction, you know, making people more excited, keeping people on their toes. I feel like that's just what makes the artist now. It's all about exposure. It's less about who you partner with. It's, you know, but in conclusion, is the underground like dead or anything? No, it's not. It's still alive. It's just that the well has gotten deeper. You really got to look deep now for the things that you want. And with all like this looking that we do, we ended up circling around like the same guys that just ends up being the new wave of the mainstream. You know what I mean? So, but of course, thank you for watching. I'm going to ask 1 a.m. for a feature. Make sure to follow my IG, follow my Twitter, and follow Chocolate on Instagram. But of course, I will see you guys next Monday when I do absolutely nothing. I just sit on a camera for about 20 hours, staring directly into the lens, trying to look like I'm intimidating you. But I'll catch you guys next week. Peace.